It's the biggest day in Kentucky Downs history on Saturday with $6 million stakes. 2 of them are Breeders' Cup win and you're in races. PTF and JK here in this video on the In the Money Media YouTube channel to talk about them with you, offer our tips. We're going to do that at the end after we talk through the field a little bit. JK, let's start with a horse that I think is a favorite you might want to take on in this Kentucky Turf Cup winning your in action for the Breeders' Cup Turf. Integration. He's a really cool horse, but he's never gone this far, and he's one of these horses who, to this point in his career anyway, the enthusiasm in the market seems to have outstripped his actual accomplishments. Am I underrating him, or does he deserve his place as the 8-5 favorite in this field?
No. I mean, he hasn't won at Kentucky Downs, which is something that I like to give a lot of extra credit to. He hasn't gone this far. He was beaten last time, and he hasn't run overly fast. He's a West Point horse that's likely going to be overbet. I can keep going if you want me to.
Let's get to the second line of the betting here, and a horse that I do like in this spot. Number 11, Chief Little Rock. This is a Coolmore runner who bombed last time at Ascot against it's much tougher competition. But this horse has some running lines that I think would make him very competitive. I also like the fact that he got around Epsom Downs in England okay. Epsom, a little bit like Kentucky Downs, is unique. It's quirky. It has undulations. It has a camber in the stretch. They're running, this way. The horses have to be able to handle a lot to handle Epsom. He handled it. The horse that beat him, Bellum Justum, came back to be very, very impressive at this Kentucky Downs meet. Chief Little Rock, he's not my number 1 pick, but he is my idea of a likely winner. Where do you stand with him?
Well, I think when you see the connections here, you see Frankie Dettori, you see Coolmore, you see Aidan O'Brien, you see a horse that was last seen at Royal Ascot. I have a feeling that the punters, see what I did there, are going to be pretty keen on using this horse. Probably a little bit overused, probably a little bit overrated. I'm going to look for something a little bit quirkier in here. I'm not going to be totally against in terms of a multi-race play like I am against integration, but I still think there's probably some more value to be found on the board.
Let's talk about the one runner in this spot, Highway Robber. This is a horse who will be tested for class, but does have some positive attributes. I was wondering about this one, probably more as an exotics horse. I have one I like more for my number 1 pick in the race, but I was curious to get your thoughts on him. Is this one of the ones you're targeting, or have we not gotten to the right price point yet?
No, I'm going to keep looking. He was 7-1 last time he ran at Kentucky Downs. Didn't hit the board that day. Like you mentioned, you talked about the turns, the undulations that you'll see at Kentucky Downs. I like to look at Kentucky Downs sometimes like Las Vegas. That saying, what stays in Vegas happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Sometimes that can happen at Kentucky Downs. Horses just like that configuration. And so I like to try to find horses that have done well there, or at least project to do well there.
My top pick in this race is going to be number 7, Tawny Port. This is a horse I think is going to get a great trip in this spot. Plenty of speed. I think this one can be forward, be in behind that speed, and maybe get the jump on the deeper closers. And this is a horse where I feel like the recent running lines just don't reflect how good the horse is. 2 back, I thought maybe moved a little bit too quick into the pace. I thought was very game, trying to run down, get smoking last time, just ran out of ground. And the other interesting thing about this horse, as far as I'm concerned, historically, this is not a meet Christophe Clement, one of the best turf trainers out there, has targeted. But this year he has, and he's run 4 so far. They've all hit the board with 1 winner. I think Tawny Port's interesting, and I think it'll be an okay price. Give him any credence.
No, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I like him more than the previous 2 that you had mentioned, just given the circumstances. And you said a lot of good things, but I'm going to look even sneakier here. I'm going to go towards the inside with 2 horses. I'm going to start with a 3, Cathkin Peak for Flying P Stables. If you've been paying attention to Saratoga, you saw the success that Flying P had. Cathkin Peak was one of those, going 13 furlongs on a yielding turf course with a forward trip. That makes me feel pretty comfortable. This horse will handle the undulations, the ups, the downs in terms of the stamina. And it's Mike Maker going long on the turf what more do you need there? And then the 4, Get Smoking, who's 1-for-1 at Kentucky Downs, another one with tactical speed, takes trip a little bit out of it. I'm not worried about Get Smoking being wide or getting stopped. This horse is going to be forward. He's 1 here, going the 1.5 miles. And so I trust these 2 horses from inside draws to work out at least okay trips. I'm going to use both of them pretty equally in most of the things that I do. I'll include your Tawny Port underneath. I'll include the Coolmore Runner underneath, but I'm definitely going to try to beat Integration.
Bombs away for JK in that Kentucky Turf Cup. Want to let you know that this video is brought to us by our friends at Contest Jockey. Exciting new way to play handicapping contest, combines ideas of poker and horse racing. Free games at the weekend, sometimes during the week too. Go to contestjockey.com and check that out. And while we're talking about sponsors asking for favors, we'll encourage you to subscribe to the In the Money Media YouTube channel. We are getting so close to that goal of 10,000 subs. Help us get there. We would really appreciate it. And you won't miss any of our exclusive content. Kentucky Turf Cup, not the only win in your in race at Kentucky Downs on Saturday. We've also got the Grade 2 Turf Sprint that goes as race number 11. And boy, do we have some top-notch runners in this race. We'll talk through them, JK, and we'll give a tip. We're going to start off by talking about this horse that I think holds the mantle right now of top turf sprinter in North America. And if you believe these figures, one of the best we've seen in quite a long time. Cogburn. His preparation has been interrupted. He was not originally, originally he had the race at Saratoga he was going to run in that got rescheduled and then ultimately taken off the turf, and he did not participate. Are those, and Kentucky Downs is not where he's done his best work. You look at his last few races, the figure that, it's like which one of these doesn't belong Sesame Street situation with the race where he wasn't as good being here at Kentucky Downs. Is that enough to make you want to oppose him?
I'm going to use others in here as well. He's too talented to oppose. I kind of look at Steve Asmussen a bit like I would look at Peyton Manning at the line of scrimmage when he calls an audible. I trust that he could probably figure out the best way to go about that audible rather than some maybe less accomplished trainer. I don't think he's done his best work here, but I think he is fast enough that if he runs his best race, he'll overcome the fact that this probably plays a little bit longer than the 6 furlongs that's listed. But the one horse that I do also want to include, because I won't probably include any further with these Europeans and these turf sprints, is the 8 Kadem. Is that how you say it, Pete? Kadeem?
Yeah, Kadeem.
A 1:23 time form US, which is pretty quick. And one of those as a year with that European pedigree that I trust to handle the 6 furlongs, like I mentioned earlier, that I believe is going to play a little bit longer. I don't need anybody else in here. I would definitely try to press up Cogburn just because I think he is the best turf sprinter in the world, but I don't quite trust him in this spot. It could be kind of a means to an end as a prep race. He needed to do something prior to the Breeders' Cup.
Yes, I think it'd be an easy one to forgive if he doesn't win. Let's put it that way. Kadem, my fear on this one, and this was a note that came from Rob Dove, one of the top 10 pro punters in the UK today, is that he seems to think he might be a bit of an Ascot horse for course, especially the days he's done well have had headwinds and have sort of flattered him in certain regards. If he runs his best race, he's got the class. I'm not saying he can't win, but that did make me, looking at some of his form at other places, did make me worry about him just the littlest bit. We'll have to talk about the reigning BC Turf Sprint champ before we get out of here. No Balls makes an awful lot of sense in this spot. Second off the layoff based on what he's done in his career. He wasn't in your reckoning of the race. Are you opposed to him, or is he just another one you feel like is kind of going to be the price? We lost you, JK. We got you muted.
It wouldn't be a show without the mute button. No, I don't need. I was muted because I didn't need anybody else in here. I don't need Nobles at all. I thought he ran horrible last time. Actually used him in a Survivor game I was playing, and so I remember distinctly that he ran 4th as a horse that was a single for many. I think he's a circumstantial horse, and I don't think these are the circumstances that are going to fit him.
I will throw out a 30-1 shot for you. You went bombs away in the other race. I'll go bombs away here. There's really no angle other than horse for course. But we saw this last year with a not particularly informed gear jockey getting back to his favorite course and running really, really well in this race. I think he's worth including at what should be a big price, despite the 11th place finish and being off for 300 days. There might just be something about this place that he likes. He'd be another one I would definitely want in the mix as well. I'm not as down on no balls as you. I could see throwing in a horse like Witty for a penny, potentially. And I might just let, in shorter exotics, might just let Cogburn beat me in this spot, thinking maybe it is more of a means to an end. Now you know what we think. We want to hear what you think. Drop us a comment down below. Let us know who's going to win these races at Kentucky Downs, what you liked, what you didn't like. For JK, I'm PTF. We will see you next time.